Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I rise to take a short call to stand in support of the Social Security Commencement of Benefits Amendment Bill. And I guess already at the start of what no doubt will be a somewhat arduous afternoon and evening, based on what we've just had to listen to, we've heard the core difference of opinion with respect to this bill, and that is what was the policy intent of the stand-down period. And successive governments, going back a number of years back, as you can see in here, back to 1998, always held the view that if you were put on a stand-down when that regime was put in place and it was for a calendar week, that everybody, those who were administering the law, those who were claiming under the law, held the view that that was for 7 days, that you were stood down, and on the 8th day you stood back up in terms of accessibility for a benefit. Everybody assumed that that was indeed the law that we were working to. So to have a conversation here around broad natural justice now for those before May 2014, where everybody could be available for further review and potential addition for money that they were potentially excluded from, to me misses the point. If you have a policy intent which is clear and you have successive governments who have acted accordingly, then that ultimately has to be at the core of this debate. And of course, when you have, as we have had, a review or a ruling last year in May which identified comprehensively that actually this was a technical amendment, and technically under the law that was written, it should have been paid on the 7th day, as opposed to the 8th day, as everyone had assumed it should be worked, then clearly this legislation is required. It's required under urgency, as we have all collectively agreed today, and you need to apply some natural justice. And so therefore what the government is proposing in this bill, where you provide opportunities for those from that day forward to when this legislation comes into effect, actually 7 weeks beyond that even, I think that's a particularly generous approach. I think it is fair-minded, and it gets the balance right between ensuring the original intent of this legislation is upheld, that we make it absolutely clear through retrospective legislation that we're going to have in law what everyone assumed to be the case all along, but have a process for those who were either in a review prior to May last year, and for those subsequently who have identified there is a particular issue. I think that's fair legislation. I look forward to a sensible debate around that policy intent being confirmed via legislation here over the next few hours. Mr Speaker, I very much support this bill through the stages and to the House today.
Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.